What's shaking, guys? Big Philly with Poor Boys RC. Today we're going to start the gentle refurbishment, if you will, of this Tamiya Black Foot Xtreme. Again, this was gifted to me by one of you amazing viewers out there. Thanks again so much, Eric. I really appreciate it. And we're going to breathe a little bit of fresh life into this guy. And we're going to start today just by working on the body and cleaning up this body a little bit. It doesn't need a whole heck of a lot. If you look at it overall, the body is in pretty darn good shape. The decals are lifting in a few spots. There's scratches here and there. You know, there's some, I don't know, there's some mystery stuff here on the windshield. We've lost a roll bar light. Speaking of roll bars, it's kind of broken there. What else? There's like some tape residue up here on the sunroof I want to get rid of. There's a few little things that are going on with this body, and I just want to tidy it up a bit. I asked you guys, what do you think? Should I like refurbish this thing 100% and try and make it look brand new again? My gut said no. I didn't want to go that far with it. I like the fact that it's got a few war wounds on it. I think that kind of adds to the nostalgia of the whole thing. A lot of you guys agreed with me on that. Not all of you, but a lot of you did. And I think that's the way we're going to go with this. The goal is not to make this look mint and make it look brand new again. That's not what I want to do. I just want to tidy it up a little bit. I want to keep some of that road rash up there. I mean, look at it. Eric's buddy spent a lot of time getting that road rash on there, and I want to honor him and honor his wipeouts with keeping that road rash right where it belongs. But there's a few things. Again, we got the roll bar to fix, a little bit of tape residue, little things here and there to tidy this body up and get it ready to go back on the chassis. So let's jump right in and let's get started. Got my new Mandalorian mug here with, this sucker can hold a lot of coffee, so we're gonna be good to go here, guys. So first things first, guys, I gave this body a really good cleanup. I just went downstairs, washed it with normal soap and a dish soap and water just in my sink where I do my dishes. So nothing fancy. I didn't use any fancy soap or anything like that. Just got it really nice and clean because we're going to be using some adhesives. We're going to be using some cleaners, some other like more aggressive cleaners, and we need a nice clean substrate to work with. So get all the grit and grime off that's been accumulated on there. Just giving it a good once over with a clean towel, and this body is good to go. So I'm going to start with some of the simpler things to do on this guy first. Start simple, get my confidence up, and work my way up. So I think the first thing I want to do is tackle this little bit of residue. Can you see that right on the sunroof? There's some tape residue right here that's on, just kind of left behind from whatever. I don't know what it was there, what it was doing, but it's there. And I want to get rid of that. So step one, we're going to get rid of that residue. I'm just going to use some alcohol, some rubbing alcohol, not the drinking kind, the rubbing kind. And a little bit on the rag, a little bit on there. Let's see if it works. I'm using rubbing alcohol because it's pretty gentle. There are way more aggressive chemicals I could jump right to that I know would get that stuff off in a second. But we're dealing with 20-year-old plastic here, so I'm just trying to be careful. Oh yeah, that's working. And this rubbing alcohol is not the fastest way to do it, but it's working. And it's not going to damage the decals. And just like that, guys, check it out. The tape residue, she is gone. So if you're zipping through this video, because I know you are, because nobody watches the whole thing anymore, remember, I'm not trying to get rid of all of these scratches. Beautiful. Fantastic. Okay. Step one, complete. That was an easy step one. Step two, what do you guys notice about that rear bumper? Besides the fact that it has a wicked cool license plate on there, catch me, love it. But if you notice, the rear bumper is on upside down. So real simple, guys. Yeah, this is just on upside down. This flat plate portion here should be at the bottom of the bumper, not at the top. That's a step plate. So let's get that bumper switched over. Pretty advanced stuff going on here, guys. We need to take these two screws out. And flip the bumper. Now, as I screw this bumper back in, you guys are probably going to be wondering, like, well, hey, well, what about that license plate that's on there? That's so cool. That's so vintage. What are you going to do? Because now that we've inverted the bumper and it's on the right way, my plate's on upside down. So I'm going to deal with that in a little bit. I'm not going to deal with it just yet. I'm going to do my best to try and preserve that license plate. We're going to get the heat gun on it. We're going to get it nice and warm. We're going to see if we can peel it off and save it. If it gets destroyed in the meantime, I do have other ones I can put on there, but I really want to try and preserve that one. But that rear bumper being on upside down was really bugging me, so I had to fix that. The front bumper is in good shape on this thing. I was thinking about putting some LEDs in here because it does have light buckets, but I'm not going to do that. It didn't come with them. It's not going to be much of a runner. It's going to be more of a shelfer. So for what it's worth, I'm not going to put LEDs in the front. Next step though, one thing that I do want to do is look at the decal, or decal, as I like to say, the tail lamp. You can see it's quite frayed. It's pretty beat up. So I want to do my best to try and get it to sit back down here and, you know, preserve it as best we can. Get a little bit more life out of that. I think we got a little more life left in that guy. How are we going to do that, Phil? Well, let me tell you guys. We've got this Tester's decal set, decal set, right there. And I got this at my local hobby store, and it's just a mild, not that mild, mild-ish adhesive for your decals, or your decals, or your stickers, depending what the heck you want to call them. So I'm going to try it out and see if I can get that taillight decal to sit down a bit better. Come on in, guys, get a nice close look. And you don't need much of this stuff. I'm just going to use my pick tool here and get some of this stuff on the back. Maybe I need a bit more. Let's go with a Q-tip. Then I just want to press it down and see if I can get it to set. So sorry guys, I gotta cover what I'm doing here temporarily because I just need to put pressure on that taillight sticker so she takes place and knows where to sit. You got to think that thing's been curled up like that for probably at least 10 years, so it's gonna fight me here. So just by putting pressure on it with my thumb, it's gonna hold her in place. And there's a couple other spots while we're here. You can see like this, that little cat right there, she's lifting. There's a couple. So we're gonna go around this body and we are going to re-stick the decals. Oh yeah, that's working pretty good. Well, it turns out that's not working very well at all. And maybe this portion of the refurbishment is outside of my skill level because it just does not seem to be working. I'm gonna try it one more time on that guy. Yeah, that taillight decal did not want to stay put. Trying it again on this big side decal, seeing if it works. Have some coffee in the meantime. All right, success. So the Black Foot Xtreme decal, that lip that was lifted up, that managed to sit back down. So that's awesome. That's holding. I just held it for about 10 minutes or so. Did it off camera because I didn't want you guys to sit there for 10 minutes, watch me just holding a sticker. So I think that's it. Like the rest, you know, there's tiny little bits and pieces here and there that are sort of lifting. But again, they give it some character. They don't really bug me that much. And yeah, they give it some character. So we're going to leave those guys alone. On to some of the bigger challenges that we're going to have with this body. Let's get you guys in here a bit closer to take a closer look at what's happening with the roll bar. So if you jump on in here, you can see what's happened on the inside, that some of the plastic of the roll bar here is actually broken away. And this portion here, this rear portion is kind of torn out of the body. Oh, you can't see it. Sorry, guys. And that portion there has kind of been torn right out. So to fix that, I'm going to try using some of this stuff here, some 2-part epoxy, because that's how I roll. And this stuff's incredibly strong. Once it's hardened, I think this is a 15 minutes to set. And once this stuff is set up, you can drill through it, tap screw holes through it, everything. So it's pretty cool stuff. So you get a better idea now of how the roll bar has kind of got a chunk missing out of it. This guy right here has got a chunk of body still attached to it. So again, guys, just a 2-part epoxy. I picked this up at my local hobby store, and you can get it at yours, I'm sure. Squeeze her in here, equal parts. Now I like to just use a Q-tip. I take a Q-tip, I cut one end off, and that's my little stir stick / applicator tool / you name it. Fill in this damaged area. So I'm actually just going to pack this stuff in here. Because again, I'm going to be able to drill this out later. And I don't want it to show on the outside here because I want it to look nice on the outside. On the inside doesn't matter so much. That's a good amount there. And then on the body, you'll remember we've got this hole right here. Right there. That we kind of, there was a mess made out of it. So, again, a little more epoxy. Just like that, in that hole. And I'm going to place it where it's supposed to sit. I'm going to put the 2 screws back on the non-damaged side so that I know the roll bar is sitting where it's supposed to be sitting. Because this epoxy stuff is quite permanent, guys. Once it's on there, it is on there. You'd have to sand it off. Whoops. So I took the screw for this section of the roll bar and I actually put it in, and it's holding in place right now, which is fantastic because that epoxy is now going to set up around that screw and keep it in the right position. So I'm just going to hold this here for about 10 minutes and let it set up. And then we'll see how much of a mess I made. All right, guys. So with that epoxy setting up, I had to do a couple things off camera. I apologize, but I was running out of time and I've only got 2 hands. So as you can see, I've got some blue tape on here. That's just holding the roll bar in place, okay, while the epoxy is doing its final sort of setup stages. I managed to get the 2 screws in underneath that hold the roll bar in place. So those screws are now embedded right into the epoxy. So that epoxy is going to mold to the shape of that screw and it's going to become rock hard, plastic rock hard. So I'll be able to screw in and out of it, believe it or not, once this is all said and done, which is pretty cool. It went on there pretty sloppy. I'm not proud of how it looks. I'll see if I can clean it up with some paint, maybe after everything is cured, but I'm going to leave this as is overnight and let it really set up really, really well. Another thing I did off camera is I just put that extra light on that was up here, that one roll bar light that was missing. And that is getting us right toward the end here, guys. And I want to finish this up tonight. So the last thing I want to do to this body is see if we can get that license plate flipped over. So I've got my trusty Nicolas Cage Conair hair dryer. We're going to get her warmed up and see if we can get it off. Take my little pick tool, which is covered in epoxy now. Oh yeah. A little more heat. Son of a gun, catch me if you can. I can't believe that actually worked. Boom. I'm amazed that worked as well as it did. These decals were so brittle. But that worked out great. And unfortunately, I installed it on a bit of an angle, but hey, you know, that's my own quirk. I put the plate on an angle. Previous owner has the 350 cubic inch decals, fender decals here upside down. So, you know, that's what these things are all about, man. It's fun when they've got these little quirks about them. I'm going to take this tape off right now. It's probably been on for about 20 minutes now, and just see how well this held, so we can conclude this video. And yeah, that is on there. It doesn't look the best. I'll tidy it up off camera if I can. Doesn't look the best, but hey, when it's going by at 25, 30 kilometers an hour, you'd never know that it was there. And again, for what it is, you know, this is like, it's you know, it's a little bit beat up. It's not a show queen, but it's an amazing shape, especially considering the age. I love that it's got a nice little patina to it. It's got some war wounds. It can tell some stories. And at the end of the day, it's going to look awesome when it gets back on that chassis. So that's it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I really do appreciate it. And stay tuned for the next installment of this mild refurbishment that we're going to do on the Black Foot Xtreme, where we take the chassis, which you see right here. We're going to swap out the ESC. I've got a Traxxas ESC on here. We're going to put a Tamiya ESC in there. Not much else has to get done to this. Got to change the rear body post because they've seen better days. Put on some fresh rubber, and I've got some really, really wicked cool shocks that are coming in for this that are really going to work with this paint scheme. Man, I'm stoked to see those shocks on here, but they're coming in from China on the slow boat, so I'm not sure how long they're going to take. So that video will come. Oh, and the motor. There's a motor coming in for this thing too. A very, very special motor's coming in for this thing. So I'm thrilled for all of that. Stay tuned, guys. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, be excellent to each other.